girl magic dripping. Yeah, she's on a mission, keeping our culture lifted. Now you can watch and listen.
15
Tammi Mac. Oh, what show was that? Tammi Mac show on Fox. So
10 seconds.
Tammi Mac, Tammi Mac, yeah. Ooh, that Tammi Mac.
Here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take it away.
Welcome to the Tammi Mac Late Show on Fox Soul. Hi, everybody. I'm Tammi Mac. So in 1944, 14-year-old African-American George Steiny became the youngest person to be executed in the United States when he was convicted of killing 2 white girls in South Carolina. George was too small for the electric chair, so state officials had him sit on a book so that his arms could fit in the straps. Well, in 2014, 70 years later, a South Carolina judge exonerated George Steiny, saying he had been denied due process. Sadly, there are many others who have been executed despite a strong possibility of their innocence. Yet about 60% of Americans are still in favor of capital punishment. Well, tonight, the business of being Black is the death penalty. Please welcome R&B artist Jimmy Dennis. Hi, Jimmy.
How you doing, Tammy? Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for being here. Civil rights attorney, Professor Aiken Adepoju. Hi.
Hi, how are you? Good to be here. Delighted to be here.
Thank you, Professor Aiken. Author, educator, and activist LV Gaither. Hi. And political marketing consultant
Thank you,
Keisha King is with us. Hi, Keisha.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Well, we start the Tammi Mac Late Show off with the same question each and every night, and that is getting down to the why, and specifically, why should Black people care? So, Keisha, I'll start with you tonight. Why should Black people care about the death penalty?
Well, I think we should care about all things that are going on in our legal system, the death penalty being one of them. It's something that, happens. It's something I am in favor of the death penalty in serious crimes. And so when those things come before us, it's something that we need to be aware of. Certainly paying attention to the judges, the prosecutors, the defense attorneys to make sure that justice is served, rightly served, and we don't have instances where we look back and see that people should have been exonerated and had due process and gone to the death penalty when they should not have.
Charles, why should Black people care about the death penalty?
I think we should care about every facet in American life, and especially the death penalty, because we have disproportionately been executed, been given the death penalty, and the statistics all bear that out. So our politicians, as well as citizens, should be seriously motivated to turn around the death penalty, and like the young lady, Quenisha, Miss Key?
Keisha.
I'm sorry, Keisha. Keisha just stated, I think that we have to, people who should be punished. And granted, there's some innocent people. We're going to talk about that, I know, tonight. But I've just seen too many Black people, Black citizens, unable to have money to protect themselves or mount a credible defense, railroaded into situations of like the death penalty, and it needs to stop. It has to stop. I mean, this is 2021. When is it going to stop? We can spend trillions of dollars on foreigners, but we can't protect American citizens. We can't provide American citizens with a credible defense team. It's inexcusable, and it's time to call on the United States government to step up to the promise of the Constitution in America.
I should note to our viewers that Charles Butler is a conservative commentator. So, Charles, thank you for being here as well tonight.
You're welcome.
Professor Aiken, why?
Well, it is precisely because when you began your show tonight, you raised an important fact. I didn't call it an historical fact because it's still happening today. Mm-hmm. That's the reality. people of color should care because we are more likely to be prosecuted for capital murder. We're more likely to be charged with the death penalty. We're more likely to be sentenced to death and also executed. So at every stage of our criminal legal system, it has a massive impact on people of color. And that's exactly why people of color should care about the death penalty.
LV, why should people of color care about the death penalty?
We should care from two perspectives. The ethical perspective would be that we have a long-standing historical tradition of really promoting the sacredness of life. And so for as long as you can think of, it's been against our tradition to kill to punish by killing, even as far back as ancient Egypt in the book of Katie or the book of Degeti. They talk about, they warn the pharaohs not to punish by death. If you're going to punish, find other opportunities. And as we also started off, you talked about the young man who was exonerated. There's been 156 individuals exonerated since 1973 when the death penalty was reinstated. And that's probably not nearly as many of the people that have actually been executed who were actually innocent. That's just the ones who were exonerated. 13, I think, just from DNA evidence. So when you look at the history of it, the lynching and how that ties into the present day executions of people, then I think that we should definitely be prioritizing. And I applaud you for having a discussion about it tonight.
Thank you. And when we come back, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll find out, Jimmy, why from you, Black people should care about the death penalty. We'll be right back on the Tammi McLeod Show on Fox Soul.
Tammi Mac.
Is something going on?
What's going on?
Guess maybe Tammi couldn't hear.
Maybe, yeah, because I was about to give the 5 minute.
Let me call her.
Let's see, is she back? There we are.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you now. I think when I moved, I got disconnected, and then all of a sudden I couldn't hear anything. So hopefully I didn't talk over LV when I went to break.
No, it was you timed it right.
Oh. 1 minute till we're back.
I couldn't hear.
The signal isn't great tonight. I don't know.
My signal's not?
No.
I don't know what's going on tonight then here.
I think it's the day. I have had bad signal. I've had a day with technology.
Yeah, I think we all have. Who was that said that they had the fastest? Was that you, Charles, said you had the fastest speed?
30.
Well, I do.
It was LV.
500 MIPS.
Yeah, it was me.
LV.
I thought I did.
I have 500 MIPS.
All right, here we
20
go.
seconds. 15 seconds. 10, 9. Oh no, damn it. Shh. Guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Everything just crashed. Hold on.
Oh, snap.
We're all having technical difficulties tonight.
It's the gremlins.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
I really think something is happening tonight because my TV just had this purple and green thing on it for the last hour.
Where
It
y'all
is a
at?
full moon.
And I was like, I have no idea what this is. And then in the middle of the show,
What part of the country y'all in?
in the middle of the show, the TV just popped on. It just popped back
Guys,
on.
stop talking.
Okay.
Okay, here we go, Tammy. In 3, 2, 1, coming back to you. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Tammi Mac Late Show on Fox Soul. And tonight, the business of being Black is the death penalty. So please welcome R&B artist Jimmy Dennis, civil rights attorney Professor Akin Adepoju, author, educator, and activist LV Gaither, and political marketing consultant Keisha King, and conservative commentator Charles Butler. We were talking about why Black people should care about the death penalty. Jimmy, why?
Well, what we have to understand is that since 1973, when the death penalty was reinstated, 185 people have been exonerated. Before Dr. King died, Dr. King was telling everybody that that modern day slavery was the prison industrial system. So what we have to realize is that's what we're dealing with. Black people overpopulate death row all over the country. And then you have somebody like me who didn't have a significant criminal history of any kind. And I wound up spending 25.5 years on death row because of a corrupt prosecutor and police detectives. That's why we should care.
Wow. According to the Pew Research Center, 60% of Americans are in favor of the death penalty. And even though 78% of Americans believe there is some risk of innocent people being put to death. Keisha, you feel that way. You are one of those people.
Yes, I mean, in everything that we do, there's a risk. And that's why I am a believer in limited government. And I do, but at the same time, we can't have a functioning society without law and order. And there are just some crimes, particularly against children, against, all of humanity, really, but particular crimes against children, just as a mother, I can't see a society where it would be right to not have capital punishment. I mean, even, the Bible even talks about, it's better for a millstone to be tied around someone's neck than to let them do harm to a child. And that is a form of capital punishment. This nation is built on Judeo-Christian values. And there are many instances where, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob said, okay, that's too far. You need capital punishment. So yes, I understand that there are risks. At the same time, there are just some crimes that just cannot be forgiven. And I just want to say really quickly, we see capital punishment all the time in the streets and, in different areas of life. But it seems like only when it's in the legal system that we want to say, okay, maybe we don't really want to have capital punishment. So yeah, there's risk.
Well, I don't think that people are cool with people just dying on the streets either, though, Keisha. I don't think people are like, oh, yay, the Crips won that battle.
No, I'm not saying that they're cool with it.
I don't think that's happening, is it?
That is definitely not happening.
No, I wouldn't say that they're cool with it. I'm saying that there is a different type of conversation that we have when we see it in the legal system and then when we see it in other areas of society. That's what
Professor
I'm saying.
Akin,
I don't think people are cool with it.
Go ahead, Professor Akin.
Thank you. Yeah, to take up on that last point, capital punishment isn't happening on the street, all right? Murders, shootings are happening on the street. And the reaction that we take to those is that we condemn acts of violence that are happening on the street. That's one thing. The second thing is when we talk about capital punishment, in the legal system, of course, it's a different approach. It's because it's quite frankly, when you think about it, something kind of sick. We sit down, we talk about it, we pick a date, a time, a location. We spend tons of money to call resources, jurors, over 100 people come into courthouses for one event, which is to kill a human being. On the street, that kind of deliberation isn't happening. Right? People are shooting because somebody stole my money, someone said something stupid to me, almost because they're inflamed due to some kind of passionate reaction, okay? And that's wrong, no doubt about it. But when we talk about capital punishment, the kind of thought, the kind of energy, the kind of resources that we put in to kill someone, it is not what's happening. It's not what's happening on the street. That's what happens in the legal system. Yes, Keisha.
LV?
Sorry.
And if I could pick up where he left off, and that is what about the families who people, proponents of capital punishment, say it brings closure? That's probably maybe 2% of the individuals who are victims that say that it brings closure. So if you're that person that says, well, yeah, an eye for an eye, I don't, that's what it's all about, then you're 1 in 40 people who actually, when they go through that process, what our colleague just explained, when they go through all of those trials and all of that process, those families of the victims, they don't have closure. Only about 2% based on the scientific studies of it.
So when you say are you suggesting, LV, that there is no closure even once a perpetrator is put to death?
No, it actually has the opposite effect.
Interesting.
Yes.
We should care if one person is innocent and they get killed for something they didn't do. And this has happened before. This is not something that's a fairy tale that hasn't happened. Florida has actually executed an innocent man. He died of cancer when he was on death row. His name was Frank Lee Smith. And then after he died, several months later, they found out that he was innocent. Is that okay? That's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
And is that okay, Charles?
Well, I'm sitting here and I'm on both sides actually, but there has to be capital punishment, and I think it shouldn't take 20 years in order to legally kill someone. I see some heinous crimes that have been committed by people, and they get the death penalty, and they sentence them to 60 years in jail. I mean, that just provides jobs, and they warehouse Black lives, they warehouse white lives and Hispanic lives. But bottom line is, they spend a lot of time. I think it takes, depending on the state, anywhere from $35 to $65 a year to keep a person incarcerated. I don't see why would we spend that kind of money on a child or on our students instead of warehousing criminals. That's kind of where I am. But people like in Chicago.
So Charles, are you suggesting let's go ahead and hurry up and kill them so they won't take our money?
No, that's a good point, Tammy. But what I'm saying is, I believe first of all in a quality defense. I think that imminent, and I mentioned this the last time I was on your show, that qualified immunity needs to be eliminated. Justice Thomas said just last month that the Supreme Court needs to go back and revisit qualified immunity. It needs to be eliminated. It was a bad decision then. It's bad law. Policemen, prosecutors, judges need to be held accountable for their actions. And time after time, we see that the cops have lied, the prosecutors have lied, they've hid exculpatory evidence. Those things need to be punished. They go unpunished. And these people retire with pensions while they've ruined people's lives. No, I
get what you're saying now, Charles. You're saying the system is broken and needs to be fixed so that there are not so many mistakes made when it comes to the death penalty.
Yes. And people need to be afforded a quality public defender. Public defenders are overworked. I mean, we can spend trillions of dollars in foreign countries building schools. We can't build a new school in Chicago. People don't talk about that. They built hundreds of schools in Afghanistan. They refuse to build a new school in a Black community.
Let me chime in on this for a minute right here so I can speak to some of the things that Charles is saying.
Go ahead, Professor.
No, Jimmy.
Jimmy. Oh, that's Jimmy. Oh, okay. I knew Jimmy had something to say because he can't keep stealing his seat.
I can't.
That's good.
He can't keep stealing his seat. So I don't know.
Come with it, Jimmy.
I don't know, Jimmy, if I should first just say to the viewers that if anyone should be talking about the death penalty and how unfair it is, it should be you, because you served 25 years in prison on death row and ended up released because what?
Because of corrupt police officers and corrupt district attorney by the name of Roger King and corrupt police officers by the name of Santiago and Jaskrimsky. And everything I say tonight, I'm going to say it like I said it before. Every single thing I say out my mouth Everybody that's listening, all you have to do is click on your phone, click on your tablet, and you will see what I'm telling you. First and foremost, one, it costs hundreds of millions of dollars to from taxpayers to house people on death row and then kill them.
That's right.
Death penalty trials cost millions of dollars.
Right.
To defend that, it costs millions of dollars. That's number one, right? But you need them appeals, right? And I don't want you to misunderstand this. You need appeals because people get it wrong all the time. You're looking at human beings. If I just said 185 people have been exonerated since 1973, that's a problem. If I just told you that Frank Lee Smith died in prison and was going to be executed for something he didn't do, that's a problem. So we know innocent people have been killed before. We know I spent 25.5 years in prison for something I didn't do.
Exactly.
We can't have a barbaric mentality where we want to see people killed at all costs when you clearly know there are corrupt police and there are corrupt district attorneys who are climbing their way up the ladder for political gain.
Keisha, Keisha, do you believe that the system is corrupt and needs to be adjusted?
I believe that parts of any system can be corrupt because there are corrupt people. For instance, our Kamala Harris, she withheld DNA evidence from the courts from an innocent man that he was clearly, the evidence was there and he was innocent. And so I am very much in favor of holding elected officials and judges and prosecutors, all of them holding their feet to the fire. But at the same time, we can't throw out the baby with the bathwater and say, well, just scrap the whole thing altogether because we have instances where things don't work out correctly. This is humanity. We know that we are a flawed people from the very beginning. And there will always be people that that are corrupt, people that make mistakes, people that do that get accused innocently. I think that is awful. That is not anything what I'm trying to suggest. I am just saying, if I can just finish, I'm saying we have to have a system that punishes people rightly according to the crime that they've done. If you have done a heinous crime to a child, to a woman, I mean, there's just some things that are just beyond our imagination. And for them to just sit in prison and just let, they get to go on. And it's just, here's the thing. If we don't set an example, okay, this is what will happen to you if you go into our society and you come into our community and you do this to people that we love and we care about, this is a possible outcome for you. I think that does deter people from committing certain crimes.
Hold that thought. Let's yield to Keisha until she gets her thought out here. Go ahead, Keisha.
That's pretty much it. If we don't show that there are severe consequences to crimes. We can see that now with the whole defund the police, where crime is through the roof because people are not being prosecuted for their crimes. They are doing whatever they want to do because there is no consequence. Same thing with children. If I don't give rules and boundaries to my kids, they will do whatever they want. They won't listen. And so we have to have rules and boundaries as a society. And some of them are just highly consequential, and that may cause death.
Professor Aiken, you're shaking in your seat there.
Well, Keisha is right that we need a system that's going to hold people accountable. The problem is we don't have that system right now. We have a system that is completely flawed, that does a terrible job at separating the guilty from the innocent, and also that does a terrible job from separating the ones that need to be exonerated from those that need to be executed. So the system that she talks about doesn't exist. So to move forward and execute people without that system that she's talking about, I think is completely wrong.
LV.
Yeah, I think that, again, that system that she is talking about, that's not the system. We've got to talk about the arbitrariness of it. So, Keisha, if we had a system or it seems like if we had a society like that you're describing, it would look something worse than the worst images of Afghanistan, or somewhere where you have a theocracy that's just chopping people's heads off every day. If people were actually, if it wasn't like so arbitrary. So it's not
I didn't
like,
get that. That's what she was saying at all, LV.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like you're saying that you want people to, the people that are out, now everybody that commits a crime or a heinous crime, they need to be killed.
That's not what I said. I said there are certain crimes, and we can just, that's what policy and laws are for, to define what those types of crimes are that deserve those capital punishments. And to say that we don't have a system that does not work at all, we don't have a perfect system, but we certainly have one of the best in the world. There are places in this world where the justice is the cop pulls you over, in places in some countries in Africa, just off the top of my head, where you have to pay them money or you can be killed and you don't even get to go before a judge. And this is not one, like some instances like we see here, this is the norm. So to say that our system is just, archaic and we're just barbaric in our system, I think we certainly have issues, but we certainly do have a compassionate, system nonetheless. Yes, it has problems. It always will. It will never be perfect. No. But to say that our system is just absolutely, just needs to be thrown away, and other countries.
Let me go to our soulmates. Let me go to our soulmates in the chat room and see what they are saying, because you guys have lit them up. They are writing in paragraphs tonight. Naparazzi magazine says we have to care at this point. They have been wrongfully killing us for years. Oh, it's time we care and do something about it. PADP says, really looking forward to this conversation. I hope we haven't disappointed. Incog says Black people have been disproportionately affected and are less likely to get good legal representation for a biased system. And I think we've talked about that. We're going to talk about that some more tonight. Artina says, I don't think we should have the death penalty because there are entirely too many people getting released who are not guilty of the crime. Thomas says, Jim Crow never left us. Me Against the World says, greater chance of being killed in your own neighborhood than mistakenly going to prison and getting the death penalty. Just saying, we're focusing too much on government while our people are killing each other. Well, I think we can do both, though, here, Me Against the World. I think we can focus on our people killing each other and focus on the government at the same time. And I think a lot of times we forget that the government is not an entity. The government is the people. We are the government. So, let's see here. Okay. Our soulmate says, get rid of the filibuster. Back in the day in the South, you could be prosecuted and get the death penalty just by a white woman lying. And I think they know that all too well, and which is why they cry out so many times. And now there's actually a law, trying to make its way into our system about that. Let's see here. Jimmy was released because after 25 years, the corruption was finally proven. That's why you can't limit appeals to a set of years. Jimmy?
That's a fact. I mean, listen, the death penalty is not a deterrent. That's first of all. That's the first thing I want to say. The death penalty is not a deterrent. You talk about start limiting appeals. I want everybody in your audience to understand something. Don't believe for a single second that there's innocent people in prison who are sitting there and they want to be in prison for 25 years and 30 years. No, that's not why appeals take a long time. It's the district attorney in the system and the judges that do this. String out the appeals and so on and so forth, and keep innocent people like me suffering in prison for 25 years, destroying my family and my friend's life in my life, and I'm still trying to put these pieces to my life back together. And just so we very clear, right? Everybody in your audience can go look. On August the 13th, the same corrupt police officers that stole my life away, named Detective Santiago, Detective Deskripsky, a grand jury came back and charged them with lying perjury for destroying another innocent man's life and now they're going to be put on trial. These are facts that we can't escape. We can't sit here and act like in every single city in America there is corruption, from the district attorney's office to the police. I can name innocent people in every single state in this country who have came home, right?
Well, for those who are at home right now, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come right back on the Tammy Mac Late Show on Fox Soul.
Tammy Mac.
Okay, we're missing someone.
We lost Keisha. She's back.
Sorry, guys.
Alicia, I keep seeing you pop up.
Yeah, that was a mistake. I was trying to hit the audio button and got the video.
I'm sorry, y'all.
No, it's fine. We're just glad you're back.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we're good. We're chugging right along. We're getting through this. We are getting through this whatever this technical ghost is today.
Definitely is one.
Indeed. Kevin, whenever you say, oh shit, there is definitely a ghost.
Everything just went black. The computer crashed. It was crazy.
Oh man.
Tammy Mac Show.
Back? Oh.
No, I just had to bring that up for a moment.
Mm-mm.
1 minute till we're back.
All the team. Win season.
Oh, no, I was on air, but we working.
You didn't want that?
Oh, you asking me now?
Yeah, that's what the text was.
Oh, I thought you'd already been.
I said I'm back.
Tammy,
30 seconds.
Uh-huh.
Xfinity. To Xfinity.
Are you getting?
I have Xfinity.
Oh, God.
I'm running 500 minutes.
Hey, I did an
on
Xfinity
front
Christmas
15
commercial. I say nothing bad about Xfinity.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Tammy Mac Show.
1, and we're back.
Welcome back to the Tammy Mac Late Show on Fox Soul. Tonight, the business of being black is the death penalty. So I want to get personal here for a little bit. And I think I want to get personal with Charles, let's get personal with you. If someone kills a member of your family, what would you consider justice for that killer?
Death.
LV, what about you?
I would say prison, some form of punishment other than death.
What about you, Professor Akin?
Life.
Life, just you don't want any punishment for them?
No. Life in prison.
Oh, life in prison. Jimmy?
My nephew was murdered while I was in prison. I told every single person in my family, let's pause, let's not rush to judgment, let's see what happens, and let's not draw conclusions upon who is arrested, right? I would want the person that killed my nephew to be in prison for life, period. And that's exactly what I told my family.
I think we know your answer, Keisha, without a doubt, right?
Well, I would say it depends on the type of death. To me, all death is not the same. Like if there was a vehicular, an accident.
I guess I'm referring to straight up murder. Someone breaks into your home.
A heinous, yes. Well, then yes, death. The death penalty.
In 2020, 42% of inmates on death row were Black. Well, that's down from 52% in 2019. Mm-hmm. Why are there still so many Black people on death row, Charles?
I saw an interesting statistic when I was doing some research. And while Black men constitute anywhere from 6 to 8% of the U.S. population, we commit 35% of the homicides per the FBI stats. Now, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of killing. I just moved from Chicago to Florida. I'm not going to tell you where in Florida because I got people looking for me. No, I'm just kidding. But it is so bad in Chicago in terms of shooting and killing. I had an incident in 2010. Young men pull up at a stoplight. The routine was they roll down the window, they give you gang signs, they yell gang slogans at you, and they start shooting. So what do? Do you start shooting first or what? These are situations that regular citizens are finding themselves in. The killing in Chicago is not gang on gang. It's these young black men driving through neighborhoods shooting at innocent people. One thing that may be surprising to your audience, I used to do a study, a report that every year that how many school-age children were shot in Chicago. And every year was almost over 100 children between the ages of 5 and 19 were killed in the city of Chicago by gunfire. And these weren't gang members. These are just kids trying to go to school. Yet, Tammi, the city of Chicago under Democratic rule, Rahm Emanuel, have 3,000 undocumented children in boarding school, basically. They clothe them, they board them, they tutor them, they feed them, they bus them around the school, and the children in the neighborhood are literally dodging bullets.
If we can assume that, if we could assume that, or have a consensus that lynchings in this country are a heinous and egregious crime, can we all agree with that?
Lynchings when? When's the last lynching we had? Besides Mr. Berman in Texas.
Well, we've had a few during the pandemic, but okay.
Okay.
Well, but let's look at this, because we've talked about it ethically and politically and so forth, but we have to look at, we can't have this conversation and not look at the historical backdrop of it. So let's just look at those lynchings. What were the punishments for the people?
Professor, how can you equate a mob lynching with a legal process that takes away somebody's freedom? I'm not getting this connection.
Because if you didn't have the electric chair, you would probably still have people being hanged. That's the only shift.
No, man. No, you got
many of those.
You have to connect something.
Yeah, many of those lynchings that you see when you look at a picture, some of those lynchings, i.e. Jesse Washington and Waco and so forth, were done within the context of law and order at that given historical moment.
That wasn't done, but that wasn't done as a result of a trial and someone being committed.
Yes, there were trials.
If the trial is unfair and unconstitutional, this is the connection that he's making. In most trials for Black men and Latino men in this country are unfair, period. They either have bad representation, or the DA is being corrupt, doing something unethical.
But that's not in all cases, Jimmy. It's not in all cases.
Listen, you said you in Florida. You said you in Florida, right, y'all?
Yeah, I am.
Do you know who Ron Wright is?
Yeah.
You know who Clifford Williams is?
Say again?
You know Clifford Williams. You know who Clifford Williams is?
No.
All right, so all these are innocent men that I just said to you.
We have a number of them in Illinois.
Had their life stolen away, and your city, your very city leads the country with over 30 exonerations.
It's Chicago, right?
No, Florida.
No, just the state. But in Chicago,
Charles, you focus solely on Chicago.
No, I'm not. I'm not focused solely on Chicago.
Because if we pick on Nebraska,
nationally, I'm talking national. I'm not talking Chicago.
Okay,
that was just a point of reference in terms of killing. But the same killing is going on in L.A., Atlanta, and nobody's talking about.
What do you mean no one is talking about it? Everybody's talking about it. They've been prosecuted. That is one system. You're conflating different ideas.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
The killings, anything that happens on the street should be prosecuted. The issue is the punishment and whether this system has done a good enough job to separate those, right? That's the issue.
Okay.
That's the issue, right? So whatever that's going on in the street, no one is saying they shouldn't be punished.
Okay.
Right? It's how do we punish people and how do you identify the right people and what punishment scheme? In this
Professor, example. 2 young men just shot 2 cops in the face a couple of weeks ago. We know that they shot those cops in the face. Okay? There's no doubt about it that they committed the crime. I don't think that they should spend 20 years or 30 years sitting in a prison.
So Charles, you may not think that.
Yeah.
That's one scenario.
Right.
But listen, what if I told you that I know of a white person who killed 15 people, raped them, and murdered them in their own homes and didn't get the death penalty?
Well, he
What?
should have. I'm not. That's
No,
not the argument.
we don't have the system. That's the whole point.
I agree with that.
I find it interesting whenever we have conversation of violence, we only refer to black people,
Exactly.
considering 80% of white people are killed by white people. But for some reason, this world wants to act like it's all the black people doing the killing. We're going to take a quick break and come right back on the Tammi Mac Late Show on Fox Soul.
Tammi Mac.
Okay.
That was good.
Is that me doing this? Is this?
Keisha, is that your
think
is that
so.
your internet dropping out, or what is that?
No, my internet is fine. I have full bars. It's not giving me the unstable connection thing. Everything looks fine. My problems earlier was with my computer, not really with my internet.
Okay, something's going on here.
And you're not accidentally touching the stop video, huh? Oh, okay.
I'm not touching
I don't know what's happening then. I'm
No,
telling
she
you,
got fully kicked out.
It's a technical ghost tonight.
I missed it. That was really good.
It was. You did miss it.
That she did.
Tammi, I think white on white crime is something like 84%. White on black crime is 14%. Black on black crime is like 86%, and black on white crime is like 12%. But you always see in the movies, TV, black men committing crimes. Black men committing crimes against white people. When
on the news, right?
When percentage-wise, it's higher the other way around.
Right. That's exactly right. So,
I think that's a point that should be made when we return, Charles.
Are we?
And I will
you know what? Hey,
make that point.
Jimmy, I got a proposal for you, but it's offline. We can't talk about it because see, I think that bad
30 seconds till we're back.
Bad
30.
prosecutors need to be punished. I'm all for.
Okay.
I've been arguing that.
I'm with you on that.
We never hear that.
20 seconds. 15. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're back.
Welcome back to the Tammi Mac Late Show on Fox Soul. Tonight, the business of being black is the death penalty. Before we left, I gave you a statistic from about 80% of white people are killed by other white people. And Charles gave us some more statistics. Do you want to mention those, Charles?
Yeah, it's like 84% of white people are killed by white people. Black on white, white on black crime is like 14%. Black on black crime is, I think, 86%, and black on white crime is 12%. But the media portrays it totally differently in that blacks are out here attacking whites. I've had, since with this woke thing and the defunding police, a lot of my conservative white friends have jumped on board that we have a race issue, we have a race problem. And I'm like, I don't see that. I don't see a race problem in America. I don't feel it in the streets. In fact, just the opposite. But the media
have to question you, Roman, Charles.
Go ahead. I'm sorry?
I have to question what streets you're roaming if you don't see it.
No, I don't see a race. I see people still talking to each other, being polite to each other. That's what I see. I'm just telling you what I see. I don't know anywhere else. I see it all over. I see acts of kindness. I see acts of civility. Unlike this thing is being portrayed in the media that black people hate white people and white people hate black people. I think that by and by, we're a country of good people. That's all I'm saying. Does racism exist? Of course it does. I'm not saying it doesn't. That's not where I'm going.
So the Death Penalty Information Center says the data shows that the death penalty is linked to our history of slavery, lynching, which is what LV was trying to say, and Jim Crow segregation. What are your thoughts on that, LV? Let's talk about that. Let's delve into that, because at this particular moment, there's still no anti-lynching bill that has been signed in Congress. So LV?
Yeah, and we have to applaud those individuals like Kamala Harris and Cory Booker for trying to achieve that goal. But so the history of it, we have to look at the backdrop of lynching in this country and see the connection between that and current day executions. I mean, there's a direct linkage. All you have to do is just do the historical backdrop. So there's no wonder that the vast majority of your executions even today are taking place in the southern states. Because when you look at, for example, there was a lot of fuss about the monuments and people talking about, tearing down racist monuments and so forth. You really have to look at the death penalty as a Confederate monument, if you will, an anti-Black monument. So why do we even have the death penalty? If it's so arbitrary and so few people are even being killed by executions, why does it even exist? Okay, well, it's interesting that Donald Trump, after, during his administration, he had, I think there was over 13 executions, and 3 of them were scheduled to go on during the election. Why was that happening? That hadn't happened in 17 years, but all of a sudden, Donald Trump is running around, and actually there was a surge in executions on the federal level.
Let's let Keisha answer that.
Well, I mean, I'm not familiar with all of I do remember something about that, but I'm not familiar with all of that, so I'm not going to speak on that. But I will say Donald Trump also let out thousands of predominantly Black people that were in prison for low-level crimes that were imprisoned by Joe Biden and Bill Clinton's three strikes bill. So, it sounds like you're trying to imply.
About the capital punishment. We're not talking about.
But it sounds like you're trying to imply that there is some racial motivation, or there was some malevolent, deed going on there because it happened to be pertaining to capital punishment. But you can't.
No, I wasn't implying
neglect his the people that he exonerated out of prison with the.
No, I wasn't implying it. I was actually saying definitely that was the case. There was
listen, LV.
Professor Aiken, go ahead.
The death penalty is not, Republican or Democrat. Okay,
correct.
It is American history. We have been killing people in this country for a very long time, and given our history from slavery through Jim Crow through today,
we haven't.
We as in America has. It is America. It isn't Republicans. It isn't Democrats. America has, and to the extent that we've been doing this in this country, what we see all throughout our history is that the law, in a very systemic way, is killing Black people and people of color at higher rate.
I think we
think about that. That's a fact. That is an absolute fact.
I can agree with that.
That's an absolute fact. There's no question about it.
No, totally agree.
Right? And because that has happened, there is some sense to even think about history, right? There's another way I like to think about this. If we learn that there's a country in the world, right? Hypothetical country. Think of it like, say, Germany, okay? I'm just picking a random name. And we think that at some point in their history, they are eliminating and killing people systematically, right? That happened in history. Like the Jews, thank you. And then we find out today they have something called the death penalty. And oh my goodness, you know who's getting killed over and over again? The Jews. How can we not see that line there? in the history of our country, it is Black people and people of color that have been killed systematically over time. So when we
let's go to our soulmates here, Professor. Therese says lynching is not a crime according to the law. Charles, that's a huge problem. Let's see. Kathleen says for every 8 executions in the U.S., there is 1 death row exoneration. Let's see. When a victim is Black, it's
7.
Go ahead. So
it's not 7, it's 8.3 to be exact.
For every 8.3 executions in the United States, there is 1 death row exoneration.
Yes.
That is correct. So the system is correct.
Thomas says, our soulmate Thomas says, Butler, what country you live in, brother?
Hey, I live in a country of decent people. That's what the country I live in. I do what I want to do when I want to do it. I don't play that color thing. And when it comes up, I deal with it, period. I'm not one of them Martin Luther King brothers.
No, Charles, just because there's no question that we live in a decent country, right? One can think that. It doesn't mean we have a perfect union. It doesn't mean we can't improve.
In fact, 2 of my friends wrote books that we don't have a perfect union. That was Jesse Jackson Jr. and J.C. Watts. They both wrote books about a non-perfect union.
There's no question about it, right?
So friends of mine, by the way.
Yeah, no, that's very good. The whole point here is that just because we think a system of punishment is unfair in the way it's been administered doesn't mean somehow we don't think we live in a decent country, right? I know earlier Keisha had talked about, she was comparing America with some country in Africa with a system of justice.
Yeah, even Latin America, South America.
Right. I think, well, think of it. Well, why are you comparing America to that? Why aren't you comparing America to England, right? It's like most countries that you talk about, whether it's in Africa, they were colonized for so long that they've only been free for 40, 50 years. America, with 245 years. It's like comparing a 1-year-old to a 50-year-old. You've been talking about your child, we've been talking about our children this whole time. Those are 2 different things. You can't compare a system that's developing to a system that should be fully developed. So if you want to make a comparison, you can compare this country to, say, England, to say France, to say Germany, all of which in the Western Europe have eliminated the death penalty.
It's true.
So when you make those comparisons, you can see they had a death penalty once in their history, but after they've evolved and matured, they got rid of it.
And we're going in that direction.
Analogy we should be making.
What's bothering me about this conversation most of all is it sounds like that people don't care one way or the other whether an innocent person dies in the prison industrial system as long as they done killed 7 or 8 or 10 people. 1 is 1 too many. And if it hits your doorstep, and it's your son on death row or your daughter on death row for something that they didn't do, you're going to feel a lot different if it's your best friend or if it's your family member. So we shouldn't be okay with any.
Jimmy, you're absolutely right.
Jimmy,
you hit on a very good point.
Jimmy, this is what I'm not okay with. I'm not okay with the fact that we still don't deal with the fact that they talk about sentencing disparity. I have a number of friends all across the country who are judges on various levels, circuit right up to appeals courts. And they always say this about sentencing disparity in private, that Black criminals have a longer rap sheet before they're sentenced. So therefore, they go back and get the past incidents that they had been given supervision and probation for and count it against them and give them a longer sentence. That's what my friends say who are judges. I don't know this. I'm not an attorney or a judge.
I'm going to tell you.
I'm an attorney, and I know that that's nonsense.
Okay,
I'm going to tell you.
I'm going to have to take a break. As hot as this conversation is and as informative and educational, I hate to take a break, but we got to do that. We'll be right back on the Tammi Mac Late Show, and then we'll find out a little bit about everybody on this panel tonight. We're coming right back.
Tammi Mac.
Okay, we're clear.
Ooh, that was too fast. So when we come back, we only have about 3 minutes. So I'll give each of you 30 seconds to talk about your individual projects that you wish to talk about. So try to stick to that 30 seconds so we can get everybody in.
And Tammi, we're going to run a little long on purpose to try to make up for that time we were off the air, but I'll get an exact time here in a minute.
Yes, for the
How
Gremlins.
much longer, Kevin, are we running?
Charles, I still want an invitation
I'm
to
waiting to
Florida.
get that number from
Call me.
Master
Get
Control.
my number. You get my number. Call me, man. We'll rap. I'd love to.
No
See,
doubt.
Charles Butler.
I'm in Florida too, Charles.
Okay.
Hey, how
Hi,
you doing?
Keisha. It'd be good to see you as
The
well.
free state of Florida.
Hey, had to leave that plantation up there in Chicago. They're giving people speeding tickets for going 6 miles an hour over with a camera, and you can't appeal it. I'm like, oh hell no.
Less government.
Kids running around carjacking people downtown. Now, do you think I'm gonna allow somebody to carjack
1 minute
me?
till we're back.
This was good. Thank you, everybody. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, it's good to be with you, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being on the show, everyone.
Yeah, it's a good conversation, good dialogue from everybody.
Hey, but Jimmy, I mean, man, I
30
want those
seconds
guys
till
who
we're
mess
back.
with you. I want them put away for life.
Me too.
All right, well, we need to talk.
Man, Jimmy, they talking a good game, man.
Yeah. I mean,
You can
y'all
have,
go and click.
you can, there
Y'all
could, you
can
can
go
be
see the
in the
article.
middle.
Y'all can go
15
see the articles about these corrupt police officers.
Hold
And
on
we're
that
back.
thought. Here we go.
All
9,
right.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're back.
Welcome back to the Tammi Mac Late Show on Fox Soul, where tonight the business of being Black is the death penalty. We have R&B artist Jimmy Dennis is here, civil rights attorney Professor Akin Adepoju, author, educator, and activist LV Gaither, political marketing consultant Keisha King, and of course, conservative commentator Charles Butler here as well. We want to find out what you all have been up to. So Charles, let's start with you.
Well, right now I'm trying to work on stopping gun violence in Chicago using a program that I put together that I think will be very effective in defending neighborhoods and defending private property. People are being killed inside their homes by random shooters. It's an atrocity. Over 30 people are being killed every year in Chicago by people driving by their shooting in their homes. It has to stop.
And your radio show, The Reality Check.
So on RedStateTalkRadio.com. We're also on YouTube under the Reality Check with Charles Butler. And we're getting a new TV show on a new network. So I'll be announcing that next week.
Congratulations, Charles. Congratulations. Keisha, King Consulting Company. Tell us about it. Keisha, I think she's not there.
She froze.
She froze again. She froze it again. LV, tell us about your book, Loss of Empire, Legal Lynching, Vigilantism, or is it Vigilante? I can't say the word.
Vigilantism and
and African-American intellectualism in the 21st century.
Whoa,
and what that book is about, is it gives the intersections of how those things converge to really explain capital punishment in this country.
Keisha, we were coming to you for King Consultancy, and you clicked off on us, but you back, girl. Yes, that's how Black women do it. We come back. We always make a comeback.
We always make a comeback. What did Whitney say?
Except Sha'Carri Richardson.
I never left.
Oh, Sha'Carri Richard has not made a comeback yet, but she will, my brother. She will. Go ahead, Keisha. Tell us about King Consulting.
Sure. So I help candidates and different organizations that are trying to get their ideas out into the marketplace with my consulting marketing company with kingconsultingco.com. And you can find me on Twitter at I'm Keisha K and on Instagram at I am Keisha K. So find me there, connect with me, and let's work together.
Professor, tell us about the work you're doing for the Center for Death Penalty Litigation.
Yeah, so I'm studying a lot about the death penalty, and I'm working and I'm heading another organization called the Pennsylvanians for Attorneys to the Death Penalty. What we understand is that the death penalty is a failed experiment, and what we do is that we're working with educating the public, legislators, and even folks in the executive, educating them, letting them know about the death penalty, and hopefully passing laws to inform the public and reach the right results, which is to pause the death penalty or eliminate it. And we're at padp.org, or again, Pennsylvanians for Attorneys to the Death Penalty.
Jimmy, look, I know you're an activist and you fight for, the termination of the death penalty, but you're also an R&B artist. So tell us where we can find that next single.
I got music out. All my music is on Spotify, iTunes, and Tidal, and all streaming services. My two latest singles are Tears This Year, and my other latest single that I put out over a month ago is Love You Better, and you can find it on all musical platforms. And everybody can follow me at Jimmy Dennis Music, and check out the music. It's R&B. It's some good stuff.
Thank you
Is that
so
the
much.
Facebook
Thank
page?
you, Professor Aiken. Thank you, Charles, LV, Keisha. Always nice to have you. And Jimmy, this concludes
Pleasure.
this edition of the Tammi Mac Late Show on Fox Soul. Until next time, everybody, it's a blessing to be in your box. Bye, y'all.
Peace.
And that's the end of that.
All right. Thank you. We got it.